The scent of rain-soaked asphalt and the faint aroma of the 2 steaming pepperoni pizzas on the passenger seat filled my car. It was our thing. Friday night, pizza night. A simple tradition, but one that grounded us in the chaos of our lives. I was a contractor, my hands calloused and my days long. Chloe was a gallery curator, moving in circles that felt worlds away from the dust and sweat of my own. But at home, in our small but meticulously decorated house, we were just Alex and Chloe. And on Friday nights, we were just 2 people who loved pizza. I pulled into the driveway, a goofy smile on my face. I'd closed the biggest deal of my career today, a multi-story commercial build that would set us up for years. I couldn't wait to see her face when I told her. I imagined her jumping into my arms, her laughter echoing in the hall, the smell of her lavender shampoo filling my senses. I killed the engine and grabbed the pizzas, juggling them with my briefcase. The porch light was on, casting a warm, welcoming glow. I fumbled for my keys, but the door was slightly ajar. Odd, Chloe was always meticulous about locking up. I pushed it open gently, the familiar warmth of our home washing over me. And then I heard it, her voice. It was light, musical, the same voice that whispered, "I love you," in my ear every night. But the words were acid. She was in the living room, her back to me, phone propped up on the mantel. FaceTime. I could see the pixelated image of her mother, Eleanor, her face a familiar mask of polite disapproval. "Don't worry, Mom," Chloe was saying, a dismissive little laugh in her voice. "It's not serious. I'm just having fun. I'd never actually marry a..." She paused, and in that pause, my world tilted on its axis. A foreigner. The word hung in the air, a poisoned dart that found its mark deep in my chest. Foreigner. It wasn't the first time I'd heard the term, but hearing it from her, spoken with such casual cruelty, shattered something inside me. I was born in another country, yes. My parents brought me here with nothing but lint in their pockets and a universe of hope in their hearts. They worked grueling jobs, saved every penny, and instilled in me a work ethic that was forged in fire. I was a citizen. I had built a life, a business, a home. I had given this woman everything. And to her mother, I was still just a foreigner, a novelty, a bit of fun. I backed away silently, the pizza boxes suddenly feeling like lead weights. My grand announcement, the celebration, the joy, it all evaporated, replaced by a cold, hollowing dread. I closed the door with a barely audible click and retreated to my car, the rain starting to fall again, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. I sat there for an hour, the pizzas growing cold, replaying that single sentence. It was a key, unlocking 100 other small, previously ignored moments. The way Eleanor would always ask me to repeat herself, feigning confusion at my slight accent. The way Chloe's friends would make backhanded compliments about how articulate I was. Chloe's gentle suggestions that I change my last name to something easier to pronounce. Her insistence on quiet holidays for just the 2 of us, avoiding my large, boisterous family with their overwhelming traditions. I had interpreted these as the minor frictions of blending 2 different worlds. I was a fool. It wasn't friction, it was condescension. It wasn't blending, it was erasing. That night, I went inside and pretended I had just arrived. I feigned surprise when she told me she'd been on the phone with her mother. I ate the cold pizza and listened to her talk about her day, every word now feeling like a performance. I was watching a stranger wear my wife's face. The next few weeks were a special kind of hell. I became a ghost in my own marriage, an archaeologist digging through the ruins of what I thought was real. I started paying attention, not with the loving gaze of a husband, but with the cold, calculating eye of a detective. I needed to know if this was a slip of the tongue, a weak moment of placating her mother, or if it was the bedrock truth of our relationship. The evidence mounted with sickening speed. I noticed the separate bank account she had, one I never knew about. When I casually asked about some mail from a financial advisor, she brushed it off as family stuff. One night, unable to sleep, I gave in to the gnawing suspicion and opened her laptop. Her email was open. My heart hammered against my ribs as I typed her mother's name into the search bar. The chain of messages that appeared stole the breath from my lungs. They spoke about me constantly.
I wasn't Alex. I was the project, the contractor, or sometimes, cruelly, the charity case. They discussed my business, not with pride, but with a kind of detached amusement, as if watching a child play with building blocks. But the real horror was in the emails discussing what they called the clause. It was a provision in her late grandfather's will. Chloe would receive her substantial inheritance, millions of dollars, on her 30th birthday, but only if she was married to a man from a suitable background. The list of approved family names was attached. My name, of course, was nowhere on it. There was, however, a loophole. The trust would be released if she was divorced and subsequently remarried someone suitable. My blood ran cold. The phrase, "I'm just having fun," took on a sinister new meaning. I wasn't just a foreigner, I was a placeholder, a legal maneuver, a 2-year-long fun-filled charade to bide time until she could cash in and move on to the real prize. Our wedding photos on the wall seemed to mock me, our vows a profane comedy. The conflict culminated at her parents' annual garden party. It was a sea of pastel lemon, quiet money, and polite smiles that didn't reach the eyes. Her father, a man who had always treated me with a distant, paternalistic air, clapped me on the back. "Alexander, my boy, still playing in the dirt?" he boomed, loud enough for everyone to hear. A ripple of polite laughter went through the nearby guests. Chloe, standing beside me, just smiled wanly. She didn't defend me. She never did. Later, I overheard her mother talking to one of her friends. "Oh, Chloe has such a big heart, taking on these little projects. It's a phase. She'll come to her senses soon. The right man is waiting for her." I looked across the manicured lawn and saw my wife laughing with a man in a crisp blue blazer. He was one of the names from the list in the email. He was everything I wasn't. And in that moment, I knew it had to end. I didn't make a scene. I drove us home in silence, the weight of everything unsaid pressing down on us. When we got inside, Chloe finally broke. "What is wrong with you, Alex? You were so sullen all day. You embarrassed me." "Embarrassed you?" I asked, my voice dangerously calm. "Chloe, what is this?" "What are you talking about?" she said, her eyes wide with feigned innocence. "I'm talking about the fun," I said, walking over to her laptop on the desk. I opened it and pulled up the emails. I turned the screen towards her. "I'm talking about the project, the placeholder, the foreigner you'd never actually marry." The color drained from her face. She stammered, denied, her words tripping over each other. "It's not what it looks like. My mother she's difficult. I was just telling her what she wanted to hear." "And the trust fund?" I asked, my voice flat. "Is that just what Eleanor wanted to hear too? The clause, Chloe. The list, Chloe. The family names. Was I just a loophole in your grandfather's well?" She finally broke. Sobs racked her body, but they brought me no satisfaction, only a profound, aching emptiness. "I love you," she cried. "It started as a plan. Yes, but I fell in love with you, Alex. I swear." But her words were meaningless. Love isn't a lie you tell for 2 years. Love doesn't belittle, and it doesn't use. Love doesn't stand by silently while the person you're supposed to cherish is mocked and diminished. "No, Chloe," I said, the finality of it settling into my bones. "You love the idea of me, the rebellion, the fun, but you were never going to choose me. Not really. When it came down to it, you would always choose the money, the status, the world you came from." I packed a bag that night. I took only my clothes, my books, and a small framed photo of my parents on the day they became citizens. It was the only thing in the house that felt real anymore. The divorce was surprisingly quick. Her family's lawyers were ruthlessly efficient. They didn't want a mess. I didn't want their money. I just wanted out. A year has passed. I sold my half of the house and poured the money into my business, which is thriving. I moved to a different part of the city, a vibrant neighborhood where dozens of accents mingle in the air at the local market. I spend my weekends with my family, laughing until my sides hurt, eating food that tastes like home. I'm not a project here. I'm just Alex. A few weeks ago, I saw a picture of her online, a society page announcement. She was engaged to the man in the blue blazer from the garden party. She was smiling, but it was the same smile she gave her father when he made fun of my job. It was a polite, brittle thing. She had her inheritance, she had her suitable man, she had her world back. I looked at the picture for a long time, and I didn't feel anger or jealousy. I just felt a quiet, deep-seated pity. She had made her choice, and in doing so, she had given me the greatest gift imaginable. She had set me free, free to find a love that didn't need a loophole, a love that wasn't just for fun, a love that was real.